Professional is this. For those of you, this is your first or second session with me. I knew what I wanted to do with my life at 15. Because I knew at 15, by the time I was 22, I was way ahead of my friends. My friends were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their life. Does that make sense? Because I was just, and I don't know why I was lucky to figure out that I wanted to coach people at 15. But for some reason, I found this out very early. So I look at things in decades. So by the time I got to Riverdale High School to coach at 22, I had already been coaching for 7 years. By the time I was 25, I had already been coaching for 10 years. I was competing versus people that were 40 and 50. So I had this huge advantage because I started so early in life. Does that make sense? And so what I started teaching people were things that you really needed to be successful in today's world, like toughness and confidence and bounce back and how to communicate and how to own a room and how to overcome rejection, how to go the distance in a sales cycle, how to communicate more effectively. You follow what I'm saying? All the things that you need to be successful that you most likely did not get in school. Now, in an ideal world, if I go to college, what I should get, what I should walk away from that experience of 4 years, it should be, I know my purpose, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, I know how to go do it. I can walk in any room, connect to anybody, anywhere, anytime. I can sell ideas, I can sell products, I can sell services. In an ideal world, that should be what a school should do for you, is prepare you for that. But unfortunately, it doesn't, right or wrong. So you go get a job. Most people, and I talked about last month, the difference between an occupation and a vocation. An occupation is that which occupies your time in which you receive a paycheck for. So I want you to think of yourself as renting yourself to a company, and they pay you rent every month. Okay? They pay you rent. And a vocation is more ownership, where you are distributing your talents to the world through your work, and the world is rewarding you in the form of money, appreciation, reputation, referrals, affirmation. Does that make sense? Well, if you don't know what your talent is, you cannot distribute your talent to the world. So what you do is you end up just in a job. Now, what you're going to find out is just in a very short period of time, you don't have any passion for that job, which is a problem for you. Now, why is it a problem, Cole?
Because you have no will to.
That's right. That's right. You got no desire. You got no juice. You got no, what we're going to talk about tonight, conviction. You got, and so here's the problem with that. You're going to be very mediocre. You're never going to be great at something that your heart's not involved with. Everybody understand what I'm saying with this? There's no relationship you're ever going to be great at where your heart's not involved. So think of this way here. Look at me, and I have 4 parts to my nature. I have a body, physical. I have a mind, mental. I have a heart, emotional, and I have a spirit. That makes sense? There's 4 parts to my nature. I could show up here tonight physically, but not be here with my mind, because I could be distracted. Like I could be here right now and be distracted on some drama in my life, and that would diminish my ability to help you, because my mind ain't here. Sitting here goofing, texting off, not paying attention. I'm somewhere, I'm here, like you see me here, right, Jamie? But I'm not here. I go to work, I get dressed up, and I'm at work, but guess what? I'm not at work. Where am I? Wherever my mind's at. I could be here physically, but not care about my work or have any passion for it. Therefore, I just go through the motions. I'm looking at my clock. I'm trying to get out here as fast as I can. I was a teller at a bank for 6 months to a year when I was 18 years old, and the only reason I took the job because I thought it'd be cool to dress up every day. I'm like, people down at the bank must make some money. What do you find out in the banks? They ain't making no money. They touch it, feel it, see it. It's other people's money. They ain't making no money at the bank. The only people who make money at the bank are the lenders and the mortgage originators and the president. Everybody else that works at a bank ain't making no money. You understand what I'm saying? So I got dressed up every day, hated it every day. Had a manager, yelled at me every day. Couldn't show up on time, sat there and looked at my clock, couldn't wait till lunch, tried to get out as fast as I can. I had this little 4'6" manager who was like just mean as hell. And she would just yell at me every day, Bert, can't you get here on time? And can't you do this? And can't you do that? And can't you do that? And man, I just hated it. And I was there, like I was wearing a shirt and tie every day, but I hated it. That was an occupation to me. Does that make sense? And every day I was trying to figure out how I could get out of it. Now today, I never think like that. Today, I'm like, how can I get another hour? How can I impact more people? How can I get up earlier? How can I stay later? How can I affect people all over the planet? Like you never had to motivate me today. You understand what I'm saying? Because now this is my vocation, which comes from the Latin term voice or calling in life. So I have a theory for all young people that you need to get. I'm going to write a book on this. It's called Go for the Mentor Over the Money. Too many young people, 18 to 25, are fixated on how much money they can make. Sometimes at the detriment of their long-term success, right? Like let's say you come to me and said, I can make $100,000 doing whatever, selling used cars, selling apartment complexes. And I say, well, what if you can make 50 right now, but in the next year, under my tutelage and you working with me every day, at some point you can make $1 million. Would you be willing to sacrifice in the short term to have the long-term potential? Does that make sense? If I lined up 20 20-year-olds, 19 of them would take the money. Why?
Short-term gain.
Because that's been ingrained in their heads. Somewhere along the way, they think it's all about money. It ain't about money. It's about impact. The more people you impact, the more money you make. If I help 1 million people a year and they only pay $1, I've made $1 million. That make sense? So you got to quit thinking of it like I'm going for the money and the money and the money and the money. And it's easy because we live in such an Instagram society. Lamborghinis, jets, all this stuff, and it's this appearance. Most of the people you see doing those things are broke. They really don't have those things. Does that make sense? They're renting those things. They don't have them, okay? And so I want to teach you how to have a work ethic that's uncommon. Not to have a common work ethic. But for you not to have a common work ethic, guess what? You got to change your thoughts and how you think. Everybody see what I'm saying? You got to change your thoughts. So tonight we're going to talk about this concept of conviction. How do you sell with conviction? So when I say conviction, what does that mean to you?
Strong belief.
Strong belief. How strong? Strong enough to go the distance when you get told no? Strong enough to overcome rejection? Strong enough to keep fighting when you want to quit? That's conviction. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're selling, because what you're selling is a product I could probably get somewhere else. And there may even be thousands of people selling it. Follow what I'm saying? What you're selling is a belief. Here's the belief. If I do business with you, at some point in the future, I'm going to be in a much better place in my life. Right? And that's what you're selling to me. You're not selling me the product or service, because I get that product or service anywhere. You're selling a relationship with me that at 6 months in the future, I'm going to go, man, this is the best thing. This is the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. Follow what I'm saying? I don't care if it's insurance. It don't matter what you're selling. You're selling a belief, and that belief is that in the future, I'm going to be in a much better place in my life. Okay? Now, you've been in the car business. I'll turn this air conditioner off. You've been in the car business, and let me give you a great example. I have two Denali's, a black Denali and a white Denali. And I called over to the car dealership one day, and I said, I'd like to upgrade those to Cadillac Escalades. All right? Salesperson calls me, doesn't build any rapport with me, doesn't ask me why I would like to upgrade to Escalades. What is it about the Escalade that you like? Because maybe there may be something else over there that I like better. They do no discovery whatsoever, right? Basically just call on me every day. Can we get you in here? Can we get you in here? Can we get you in here? Can we get you in here to look at it? Can we get you in here to look at it? Here's what they're missing. How about getting to know me as a person? How about saying, Coach Bert, I'll show up over to Greatness Factory one day. I'd like to spend a little time with you just to ask a couple questions about why you'd like to upgrade to a Cadillac Escalade. What is it about the Escalade that you like over the Denali? What colors would you like to have? What features would your wife like to have in her Denali, Coach Bert? Now, so what do? They sit over there all day long in a cubicle and make outbound phone calls without getting to know me. Do you think it would increase their probability of making a sale if they showed up over here one day? Yes or no? Driving one of those Escalades? Yes or no? Yeah. Well, it takes conviction and guts to do that. To actually spend time with the person and say, let me ask you a couple questions so I can serve you best. Because I don't just want to say this one car, Coach Burt, I'd like to say you 10. And I'd like to get all your buddies. Everybody with me? So it takes conviction, because without conviction, you don't want to be inconvenienced. Like a great book title that I may write at some point is Success is Inconvenient. It's incredibly inconvenient. I had to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. My bus driver quit at 5 o'clock this morning. We weren't supposed to go somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? Now, do you think I want to wake up at 4:30 in the morning? I got to go to Chattanooga to promote my product, to speak to a group of people that we may or may not get 1 or 2 people with. 2 hours down there, 2 hours back. I got to get on a plane tomorrow and go to Portland, Oregon. Why? Why would I do all that stuff? Now, a superficial thing for you to say is what?
Money.
For the money. Now, without this conviction of belief in what I'm doing, here's what I'd say. I ain't coaching anybody outside of Murfreesboro. Because that's convenient to me. I can come to Murfreesboro, coach people at the Little Greatness Factory. I can go home and see my wife and my daughter. Does that make sense? My conviction is you have a message you're supposed to spread all over the planet, which means you'll do whatever it takes to spread the message. Right? Now, I want you to think about how much conviction you have for your work right now. And are you willing to do the inconvenient things it takes to really be successful? And if you're not, you don't have enough conviction. And if I don't have enough conviction, guess where I end up? Average. I'm just an average old Joe out there doing average old things. Does that make sense? And nobody gets excited about average. People are looking for exceptional, extraordinary, unbelievable, remarkable. Like, dang, this is ridiculous. Okay? Now, when you're thinking about this conviction, here's what I want to show you. My wife's got a new book out called Living with the Monster. Isn't that appropriate? Living with a Driven Person. She didn't want to write the book. She's never written a book. I've written 13 books. Here's what I said to her. You need to write the book because your message is going to help a lot of wives that are married to people like me. And here's the statement I made to her. Your comfort, your desire to help people has got to become greater than your desire for comfort. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Like the reason you don't want to write it because it's uncomfortable, right? She's like, yeah, it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, what if you just help 10 women that are married to driven people? Would that be worth it? What if you just help one woman? What if you saved a marriage from somebody who was living with a driven person and you saved one marriage? Would it be worth writing a book then? You know what she said? Absolutely. And I said, then write the book. This is me and my wife talking to each other. Because I challenge my wife just like I challenge my coaching clients. You understand what I'm saying? And she appreciates that. Read the book and see what she says about me pushing her. She's like, I was selling cell phones at Verizon that I hated for 13 freaking years. Selling cell phones that she hated every day going to work. And I come along and go, you got so much more talent than what you're doing. Why are you doing this? Nobody had ever said that to her. Nobody had ever challenged her. Nobody had ever coached her. Here's what she said. Nobody even cared enough to even care, right? So I challenged her, and now I look at what she's doing. She manages all of our real estate. She designed this whole greatness factory. Everything you see in here was her vision, not mine. We're about to buy a $1.3 million lodge that she's going to run and manage for retreats. She manages our Florida property. She manages our cabin in the mountains. She manages all that stuff. And back in the day, she was selling used cell phones, and she hated it. How much conviction do you think she had for selling those cell phones? How would you like to waste 13 years doing something you ain't supposed to be doing? Everybody with me here? This is the mistake the 18 to 25-year-old to 30-year-old makes. They spend a bunch of time just goofing off, man. Wasted. You can't get that time back, by the way. Every second you spend on that, you can't spend on something you're supposed to be doing. Right or wrong? So I can't make these decisions for you. You got to make these decisions, the hard decisions. Do I sacrifice a little money on the front end to really learn something for the back end? Do I go work under a guru and a true master at what they do to learn the craft? Like if you ladies me you want to be real estate investors? Here's the first thing I want to know. Who's the best real estate investor in our city? Can I get time with them? Can I take them to lunch? Can I take them to breakfast? Can I pick their brain? Can I ride along with them? Can I ask them questions? Can I work under them? You see what I'm saying? That's how I learned to be a great real estate investor, by watching a master do it. Okay? Not just reading a book about it. Like, go work with the friggin' stud every day and say, this is how he does it. Okay? Now, when you think about conviction, this is what conviction is. Deep, deep-seated belief in you. Your has got you in it. Your product or service to get another person to a better state in their life. Everybody see that? My conviction is when I come to you, you are so good at what it is you do, you take such pride in it, that when I leave you, I'm like, dang, that was ridiculous. That was incredible. I've never experienced something like that before. And how do you be good enough to do it every day? Not every now and then. Not like some people are good like every now and then. It's like here's what they do. They have like little flashes of brilliance. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, I see something in you, but I only saw it one time. And I've only seen it one time over the last 3 weeks. The great people show up every day, whether they feel like it or not, by the way. And they just deliver, man. They just deliver. They just deliver. It's like, man, they're good. And that's uncommon in today's world. Now, why do you need this conviction? Here's why I think you need it. Number one, to share your story in a compelling way. And I'm going to show you tonight, when you're telling stories, you need to learn to connect to another person's heart. You're not going to influence their mind until you connect to their heart. And the way you connect to another person's heart is you become vulnerable and you share your failures and you share your struggles and you share your rock bottom moments and you share your, which is very hard. It's hard for me, and I'm 42 years old. But when you share your heart with another person, they detect, like, you want people saying, man, that dude is so authentic. He's so real. He's so raw and powerful. You understand what I'm saying here? You don't want people saying, such a fake. Such a fake, man. And listen, a lot of people that do what I do, I know some of these guys, they're fakes. They ain't real. I know them. I see what they say to their audience, and I see how they act behind the stage. I see how they talk to people around them. They're not the real deal. So it's like you're pretending to be something you're not. Does that make sense? And that comes across as fake. You want people saying, that's one of the most authentic people I know. We did a retreat last weekend with Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze is the former head coach at Ole Miss. He beat Nick Saban twice. Only coach to beat Saban back-to-back years. Scored 45 points on Alabama. And he had indiscretion with his wife. And the media took it and spun it to something major. And he lost his job at Ole Miss. He was making $4 million a year. No severance, no nothing. He walked in one day, and they said, here's the papers. We need you to sign these because you're fired. Because of your morality clause. This is something that happened between him and his wife, by the way, that they dealt with 2 or 3 years ago. Then it comes out in the media 2 years later, and the media just crushes the guy, and he loses his job. But he lost his job, he would tell you, because he had an indiscretion with his wife. He did something that did not honor his wife. And so, you know, a lot of people wouldn't tell that part. Does that make sense? They'd be like, here, you know, they wouldn't even talk about it. He sat there at my house in Florida with a group just like this and said, let me tell you exactly what happened. Let me tell you how it caused shame to me, and let me cause embarrassment to me. Let me tell you why it cost me my job at Ole Miss, and why I was on the path to be one of the top college coaches in America. And let me tell you how I lost all of it by this mistake I made. And you could just feel people in the room like, dang, like this dude is real, right? Now, how do you think those people felt about him after he told that? Do you think they listened or didn't listen? They're like, I'm in, man. I went down there as like a casual fan of his, like I didn't know him that well. And I walked out of there thinking, I love this dude. I mean, I love this dude. Because he was real. He was authentic. He was convicted. Does that make sense? And probably one of the godliest people I've ever met, by the way. You do realize that godly people can make bad decisions, yes? I mean, that's the whole, you just study Adam and Eve, how that all worked out, right? So my point was, here's a dude that now if he tried to hide that from us, if he didn't tell the story, if he tried to act like nothing ever happened, then we would not have connected with him the way we did. You follow what I'm saying? Now, so he had such conviction about him. And if you're looking at stories, here's how a good story happens. You're up on the mountain, up on the top of the mountain. Top. You have some type of fall. Okay? Because of this fall, there's a big learning moment. I was on the top of the mountain and I fell down because of some decision I made. Down here is where I learned everything. Now I am climbing out of it. And because I'm climbing out of it, you can too. That makes sense? Now what if you never talk about this part right here? So you'll hear me talk about it 25 years old. I thought I had met the woman I was supposed to marry, and I was so convinced, because everybody tells you you're just supposed to know, like, oh, this is the one. Well, here's what I can tell you. Love can blind you very badly many times. Feelings can convince you of almost anything. So when I'm thinking about this person I'm supposed to marry, I go and buy an engagement ring, because this is the woman I'm supposed to marry. We're dating. Everything's going great. I think I love her, she loves me, and so I go and buy an engagement ring. I have to take out a credit card to buy the engagement ring because I don't have enough money. I get a credit card, go buy the engagement ring. I put the engagement ring in a bank, in a vault at the bank, and I kept it there. Well, this person that I was dating before we started dating, was just wild. She was just wild. While we dated, she calmed down. She was like the perfect little person, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cook dinner every night, and she don't want to go out to the clubs, and she don't want to do anything. I'm thinking, man, this is great. Well, there toward about a year in our relationship, she started reverting back to who she really was, which was wild. So now all of a sudden she wanted to go out with her girlfriend, she wanted to go to clubs, she wanted to, you know what I'm saying? She for a year pretended to be somebody she was not for me. Does that make sense? But that ain't really who she was. And through the course of our relationship, she started to show who she really is. And Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, you need to believe them. Like, we make a lot of excuses for people, like, oh no, she's such a good girl. My friends are like, she ain't a good girl, man. She's not, I'm telling you. Like, I can't understand why you can't see this, but we can see it, right? So, I could feel our relationship headed in the wrong direction. And so I get desperate, which is what insecure people do. And the more she pulled away from me, the harder I pushed, which only pushed her harder away from me. Does that make sense? When you push something like that, the best thing you can do is be so confident in yourself that you don't let another person's opinion of you affect you. Does that make sense? Because when I'm trying to be what you want me to be, I'm not being me. And I'm trying to be somebody I'm not for you, which ain't going to work. This is who you are. So I buy the engagement ring. I take the engagement ring up to have lunch with her one day. We start the lunch off by her saying this: I love you, but I don't love you enough to marry you. That's a good start to a lunch, isn't it? She's crying. I'm crying.
Did she know you were going to propose?
No, she didn't. She didn't know I had the ring. So I reach in my pocket and I said, well, let me show you how much I love you. Enough to buy you this engagement ring. She starts crying some more. I'm crying. We're in a public restaurant. I mean, it's awful. And I'm so weak at that moment. I'm so insecure. I've given all of my confidence to this girl that I'm making like stupid comments. Like, well, how much do you really have to love somebody to marry them? I even said this: I know a lot of people that are married don't even like each other. Can you believe I said that? And so she cries, we break up. I have to take the engagement ring back. And now this is a very lonely, miserable experience. And they asked me when I take the engagement ring back, like, why are you bringing the ring back? And I'm like, what? I'm like, why do you think I'm bringing it back? I mean, that's an awful question to ask. And so we broke up. I was depressed clinically for 6 months while I was simultaneously the head coach at Riverdale. And I had to get up every day and fake it like I was happy. I wasn't happy at all. I was sad. I was sick. I threw up every morning to start my day. I had so much guilt that I had caused this. Now think about how diluted and screwed up this is. I thought I created that in her, like it's my fault. It wasn't my fault. She was the one that was screwed up. But I thought it was my fault. So I woke up every morning, threw up. I was sick for 6 months. I lost all kinds of weight. And you say, well, how did that happen? So I've told you, I was in love. Then I fell off the wagon and I was heartbroken. Everybody see how I told that story? How many people could relate to some of that story? Raise your hand. You had something like that happen to you before. All of us can. You been here, heartbroken? Don't want to get out of bed, sick? It's coming. If it ain't happened yet, it's gonna happen. I don't want to break your heart, but it's coming. No, and if it ain't another person that breaks your heart, life will break your heart. I saw last night that one of my casual acquaintances. I know him. I don't know him great, but I know him. Last night in that storm, his wife died. That storm hit Rutherford County. And I was in Nashville last night, away from my family, and my mother was like, "Do you need to go home? Do you need to go home? Do you need to go home?" And I was like, I mean, surely it's not that bad. Like, do I really need to leave here and come home? And then I opened up the news today, and this guy's wife was killed in that storm last night. Picked his house up and flipped the whole house over. I mean, think about how sad that is. That's heartbreak. He was just going along fine with life. 3 or 4 kids. Then this happens. So my point is, this happens to us. Whether it be from another person, it happens to us, right? Now, so it happened to me. I was in love. I had my heart broken. I was depressed for 6 months, clinically depressed, which means you go to the doctor and they're like, man, you're depressed. Like, you need some drugs. You need some drugs, right? But let me tell you what happened as a result of this. I wrote a book called Swag that every one of you need, by the way. And it is a book about confidence. Because from that experience, here's what I said. I will never the rest of my life let another person control my confidence. My confidence is mine. I'm never giving it to a woman. I'm never giving it to a friend. I'm never giving it to my customers. I dictate my value. Everybody understand? So I write a book about how you become so confident you never lose your swag again. Make sense? Because I got friends that don't have any swag. I got buddies that don't have any swag. I got clients that don't have swag. So because I went through this and helped you, you can do it too. You can get back up here. Now, notice how I told that story. I told you the high, then I told you the low, then I told you how I climbed out of it. Does that make sense? And once I climbed out of it, I've never looked back. Now, what's the big win of the story? I went on to meet the woman I was supposed to marry, which is my wife today. We went on to have a beautiful daughter and an incredible life. Does that make sense? I would have never had that if I would have married her. I'd probably been divorced, just to be honest with you. I would have been divorced. Okay? So when I'm sharing a story, what I'm trying to teach you is how do you share a story with conviction. And the only way you're going to share a story with conviction is to become more vulnerable, which means you got to quit thinking like I can't talk about any of the negative. All I can do is talk about positive, because people can't, you're not connecting to a person's heart. Does that make sense? Now, you also need conviction to sell with certainty. Think of a person right now that you think has an incredible amount of certainty in their life. Let me use another word, incredible amount of confidence. Where does that confidence come from? Where does confidence come from? Because if I'm trying to sell, yes, it does come from passion. Where does passion come from? Keep thinking, keep getting deeper. Where does conviction come from? Belief. So when you're thinking about conviction, here's where it comes from. Here's where certainty comes from. I've had some big revelation in my life about something. Big revelation's a big aha moment. So what was my big aha moment at 25 years old with that girl? What's the big revelation? That's exactly right. The big revelation was I ain't never giving my confidence up to nobody again. Because I did that once and it ain't happening. that make right? I would have never known that if I wouldn't gone through the breakup. Right? If somebody would have told me, hey, this is the best thing that's ever going to happen to you. When I spoke at 10X to 10,000 people, I told that story. I'm like, this is the best thing ever happened to me. Breaking up with her was the best thing ever happened to me because, man, it lit a fire in me like you can't imagine. I became more confident. I became more successful. I went on to do bigger things. And let me tell you what I would have done. If I would have married her, she'd have been holding me back. She'd been doing this right here. Does that make sense? I've been worried about her. She's going out. She ain't at home. She ain't helping us. You understand what I'm saying? I would have constantly been distracted by her. I got a wife now that says, go be who you are. Go be Coach Burt. And when you get home, I'll be here waiting on you, right? And I'm not insecure of any other woman. I don't need anything. Like I'm here. I'm your partner. Does that make sense? That's the only reason I can do what I do today is because I got a wife at home that believes in me like that. So my point was I had this big revelation, and the big revelation is I ain't giving my confidence up to anybody. That's an aha moment. That's a revelation. You may not have experienced this yet. You may not have had this big aha moment. One of your big aha moments is that, maybe you don't need to be doing what you're doing. Maybe you're getting up every day and going and doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. Maybe your talent is somewhere else. Maybe you haven't done the hard work to be great yet at something. But if you don't have the revelation, then guess what you don't have? See, revelation is followed by conviction. Now, revelation is a lot, like you think of it as a spiritual, religious term, because the book of Revelation. Revelation is like opening the door to something you didn't know. It's like, whoa, this is big. After I had that revelation, I now have conviction. And because I have conviction, I am now willing to do what? Whatever it takes. There is no consideration whatsoever of me doing something. Like I'm going. See what I'm saying? Can you imagine as a little kid deciding you want to be an astronaut? One of my buddies he's an official in the NBA, the youngest official in the NBA. And he decided he wanted to be an NBA official when he was 12, 13 years old. And his whole life's pursuit was toward that goal. You know how hard it is to do that? I mean, like 1 out of every 1,000 people can do it. I mean, like it takes constant study and up at night and going anywhere in the world to learn and being able to take tremendous criticism. And I mean, it's miserable. But he had such conviction, I'm going to do this. So what am I willing to do? Take the necessary action it requires. Even when I don't feel like it, even when I don't want to show up. You know the stats on the average 18 to 30-year-old, they're changing jobs 24 to 37 times. Now, let me ask you a question. How good can you be at something when you change every other week? Everybody with me? Now, part of that is necessary. You need to try things and fail. Try things and fail. Try things and fail. Notice the word I said, try things. Right? But quitting, there's a difference between trying and quitting. Trying is I'm exploring and learning and recalibrating. Quitting is, I tried it, it got hard, I quit. I try something else, it gets hard, I quit. Tried something else, it got hard, I quit. Everybody see that? You can't become great when you don't commit to something. So I want to take a second right now, and I want you to tell the people at your table, have you had this big revelation yet? Have you had a big aha? And as a result of that, what conviction do you have? Because when a person is trying to sell me something, now let me just put this to you. You guys are all 18 to 25 or 30. If you try to sell me on something, and you tried to show up and sell me something, number one, it'd be very hard for you to even get on my schedule. Because every day I get 20, 30, 40 requests for something. Time, energy. My assistant can't find time to put anybody on there because she's like, man, there ain't no time. Unless you want to continue to work deep into the night or on the weekends. So if you show up and say, I'd like to go in there and sell Coach Burt something. Number one, you got to get my attention. And you're going to have a hard time getting my attention if you ain't the real deal. You understand what I'm saying? And if you do get it, and if I even detect for 1 second that you're not legitimate, I'm out. I don't care what you're trying to sell me. What I'm looking for is, do you have enough conviction and confidence to transfer something to me that I would exchange money for? Does that make sense? So you're already at a disadvantage because you're young. You don't have experience. Now you're trying to sell something to an experienced person that coaches people in how to sell things. That makes sense? Like I use my buddy Cardone. You know, some of you guys know Grant Cardone. Here's what I told him one day. Don't have any of those bozos at your office call me. Because that's how I see them. They're not serious. They don't approach me like a professional, and I'm not buying anything from them. If you want to call me, you can call me. But they don't need to call me. Does that make sense? You know why? Because of the way they act. Hey, Coach Bert, how you doing? Just trying to sell me something. I'm like, no, you ain't selling me anything. Because I don't feel enough. You understand what I'm saying? So my point to you is, when you're young trying to sell something to older people, the first thing they're looking for is do you show up? What kind of attitude do you have? Are you bring something of value to the table? Can you solve a problem for me? Are you legitimate or not legitimate? That make sense? Like these kids over at GM that are calling me, I don't take them serious. Now, the general manager lives in my subdivision. Now, if he wants to sell me a Denali, he ought to call me. Then I take him serious. Everybody see that? But what he should be doing is teaching them how to take their own self serious. Okay? So here's my point. How far is the GM dealership from here? 5 minutes? How hard would it be for him to get in the car and come over here? And when I get here in the morning, one morning, be standing right there at the door. Hey, Coach Bert, I'd like to get 5 minutes of your time to show you every Cadillac Escalade we have. You don't even have to come over there, Coach. We'll just go ahead and pick it out right now. We'll make the deal work. Everybody see that? But it would actually take some guts to do that, wouldn't it? So what's easier? Hide behind the phone and call and leave me voicemails. And here's the deal. Leave me the same voicemail every time. No text message, no video follow-up, no show up at my office. So here's what I'm sitting here saying. As a person of deep conviction, what do you think I'm thinking? Come on, man.
Has no one showed up at the car yet?
No.
Really?
Quit being a bozo. Here's what I'm thinking. You ain't never going to get my attention like this. Like, don't be a bozo. That's a bozo action. Okay? Now, is that fair? Don't matter if it's fair or not, because that's what I think. Everybody see that? We got to get out of this world that is, it's unfair, you know, that they don't. This is how I feel about them. It's my opinion, right? So take a second right now and tell the person at the table, have you gone through this cycle? Did you have a question?
I was going to say, what if you haven't had the revelation?
Okay. Listen, you may not have. But I want to take you back. My first revelation happened at 6 years old as a Little League baseball player. Because I used to go to the local ball field and watch coaches take care of people. And my revelation was, a good coach can change your whole life. You've had some revelation. You just don't, you haven't stepped back and thought about it enough. Like there's been something that's opened your eyes to something. Right? Like this class could open a lot of you folks' eyes. What you may go back and do is quit your job that you're in. Right? But here's the deal. If you quit that easy after listening to me a few sessions, what does that mean? Yeah. You know what it means? You already quit. Right or wrong? If you can quit. So one revelation is, what am I doing? What am I supposed to be doing? That's a huge revelation to figure this out. I think 4 years of college should be spent on this one thing, helping you figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And then the rest of your life. Like think of this, preparation, performance. 4 years of college preparing, or no college, don't matter, going something. And then performing for the rest of your life. So take a second right now and talk about that. Have you gone through this cycle yet? And if not, it's okay. What's up, brother? Good to see you. All right. If you're selling insurance, and you're selling insurance because a lot of people get into insurance because of recurring revenue. Once I sell a person, I make a check every month. That's why I'm getting financial services. It's a good business model. A bad business model many times is a transaction that a person only does one time. This is why real estate is a tough business, because you got to sell it one time. They don't buy another house for X number of years. You got to sell it again. You got to sell it again. Mortgages, you got to sell it again. You got to sell it again. Any business where there's a recurring revenue model is a good business model. But if you got into insurance primarily for the money only, and you didn't have some deep conviction about this, then when a person says, well, I don't really need any insurance, life insurance, there's no excuse for not having life insurance, by the way. Don't you agree? Because I had a friend that passed away not long ago. They didn't have enough money for the funeral. Now, that's sad. Tremendous strain on the family. They don't have enough money to even bury the guy. Unexpectedly, a death. So the family, and his family didn't have enough money to bury him, so they had to cremate him. Because the family couldn't be part, the parents of the person. And you can get a life insurance policy for how much a month? $15 to $18. $15 to $18. Now, I'm telling you this because, number one, everybody in this room needs it, number one. But number two, if I'm selling life insurance and a person tells me, no, I'm good, I don't need it, it's okay, I'm more like, I ain't letting you leave the room until we've worked this out.
And I mean, not just the funeral costs, but like,
That's right.
think about your family. Who are you leaving behind?
That's right.
You got kids?
That's right.
I mean, I know we're getting this.
Yeah, but that's my point. So it's very selfish not to spend $15 on booze or partying, but not spend $15 to insure this. It's selfish. So if I'm selling insurance, that's what I'm gonna say to a person. If you say I can't believe you say that to me. Look, I'm telling you, man, because I'm seeing this happen. Okay, with good people that just didn't do it, just didn't tend to it, didn't care about it. So I'm not telling you you're wrong for not having it. I'm telling you we can correct it today for $15 a month, and we need to do this. Now, if I don't have conviction, and I had this big revelation, I don't have conviction, guess what? I won't have that hard conversation with them. Does that make sense? Like, you can tell me I'm fine, I don't need a coach in my life, I'm all good, I'm already pretty good at what I do, and I will sit here and go toe-to-toe with you that people that have a coach figure things out way faster than people that don't. Does that make sense? Why does every top performer in the world have a coach? Think they figure something out? Why would they have a coach when they're the best? Like Tim Grover called me today. Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's coach, Kobe Bryant's coach, Dwayne Wade. They already got coaches. Why would they pay him? Because they want to friggin' perform at a higher level. So when I hear a person say, well, I don't need anybody, I'm good, I got this figured out, I'm like, no, you ain't got it figured out. You really don't have it figured out. Because if you did, you'd be way further along than you are right now. Does that make sense? And that's okay. But the first step is what? Admitting it. Admit I don't have it figured out. I could use help from somebody. I could use help from somebody out there in the world, okay? Now, when you think about this, here's the way it plays out. I've got a big belief. Number one, most people's beliefs are too weak, like they're not strong enough. I've got a big belief. Because of my beliefs, I take actions. If I want to sell something to another person, I need to be able to sell success. I.e., I need to be able to sell a person that when you come to me, I can get you to a much higher frequency. Does that make sense? I'm the guy to get you to a higher frequency. And you trust that I'm the guy. Everybody see that? And the reason you would believe that is because you look at all the people we've done it for. Does that make sense? If you don't have any success, then what can you sell? What are you selling? Can you still sell something if you don't have a lot of success? Yes. You can sell a future. Now, I got a job at 22 years old as the head coach at Riverdale High School. And I was the youngest head coach in the state of Tennessee. And I still remember the conversation the guy had with me. He brought me in to interview me, and he put the resumes of all the successful people who had interviewed in front of me. And he was like, well, this dude's won a championship, and this dude right here has been coaching for 30 years. And he just kept putting them in front of me. And he's like, now tell me why I should hire a 22-year-old kid. Just like that. It's like, tell me why I should hire you. And my instincts kicked in. Here's what I said. If I coach as long as they do, my resume will be twice as good as theirs. And I'm gonna do the only thing I'm gonna do something nobody has ever done, which is win a championship at this school. And you know what? That one statement, what was I selling? Because I didn't have any experience. I was selling my conviction. Look, man. And here's what he said. He looked across the table and said, kid, you got the job. We'll announce it tomorrow. And I was like, let's go. Now, here's my point. What if I didn't have that conviction inside of me? But the conviction didn't start at 22. When did it start? 6. When did I start coaching? 15. So by that time, I've been coaching 7 years, and I had, 15 years of conviction in me. So I was like, boom, let's go. Right? So the way you overcome being young is you be so good at what it is you do that they don't even care how old you are. Like right now, I use a financial advisor that's probably, Eric, how old is Ethan Campbell?
He's 27 maybe?
I use a financial advisor that's 27 years old. And it took him 1.5 years to even get a piece of my business. And I may have a couple $100,000 invested with him. But look of all the financial advisors I could use. Why would I use a 27-year-old kid? Because you know what? Other successful people use him. And every time I talk to him, he is so impressive. And he studies the market every day, and he communicates great, and he's highly trustworthy. And my other financial advisor, who was 50, never called me, never checked in, never talked to me. And I'm like, man, you ain't managing my money without talking to me. I text Ethan, he gets right back to me. Just like this. So it is possible for a young person to get an older person's business, right? If you just carry yourself in such a way that they take you serious. But if you don't take yourself serious, right? Like we had other financial advisors in their coaching program, and I'm like, man, that dude ain't touching my money. Because look at him. He don't even take himself serious. Not just physical. I'm not talking about physical appearance. I'm talking about how he carries himself. Does that make sense? He doesn't carry himself as a person of interest that's curious. I know my guy is waking up every morning studying the market. I know he's telling me every single thing. I know he's got my back. And so I'm like, kid, you're going to get some business from me because you're impressive, right? Now, so here's the deal. See that evidence of success? What if he says, I really don't have anybody's money, I'm not really helping anybody, but coach, I'd like to help you. Then he don't have enough success for me to go, okay. How do you sell evidence of success? How do you sell it? What can you say?
Get them people that had success with sell it for you.
Testimonials, that's exactly right. You can say, let me tell you how many people we've helped in our lifetime. When you don't have confidence, you can borrow from somebody else that does. Right? Like Lakin, if she's selling my services, can say Coach Burt routinely coaches 700 to 1,000 people a month. Some of those people earn as much as $4 million a year personally. Now, why are they coming to Coach Burt? That make sense? She can sell our success while she's building her success. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Like if you work at a company, you can say, hey, we routinely help this many people. Okay? We routinely sell this many cars. I routinely help this many people. You see what I'm saying? I'm lending money to some of the biggest players in Rutherford County. You can say things, those are called social proof. And if you study persuasion, there are 6 tenets to persuade another person. One of those is social proof. That makes sense? Social proof is you can tell me the success you've had, but not in a braggadocious way, but in a way it's like, man, I'm helping a lot of people here, right? And I could help you too. So now, how much conviction does it take to do this? Here's an interesting thing. My daughter's 6 years old, and man, she's like a little mini-me. She will ask for anything without consideration. She don't hesitate. She wants it. She asks for it. She don't get it. What's she do? She comes back again, asks again. And she keeps working that angle. Daddy, can I talk to you just for a minute? It's real important. And you know how dads are. I'm like, sure. I remember the first time I spanked my daughter. She started crying because I'm like, real soft with her and everything. She started crying, and I apologized to her. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to spank. I'm like, I didn't mean to spank you, sweetheart. My wife is like, what did you say? Because my wife is like the disciplinarian, But my little girl has got meat wrapped around her finger, man. She could do almost anything. She knows it. She's like, Daddy, let me do anything. But you know what? She's relentless. When she wants something, she's relentless. And I told my wife, I don't ever want to take that away from her. Like, I don't want to suppress that. Like, I understand why she can't have everything she wants, but I respect the fact that she will just fight like crazy to get it, right? When do we lose that? Because a lot of people have lost it. Yes or no? So here's my point. Part of being successful in life sometimes is going back to your prey drive as a kid. When you're a kid, you'll go anything, you're not scared of anything. Then you start being scared of everything because be careful, don't go there, don't do this, don't do that. Well, this is something that I have removed in my life. I'll ask anybody for anything, anytime. You know why? Because I ask without consideration. Consideration is I have some type of internal thought that is prohibiting me from taking action. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with me. Like I'm scared to ask you for your business. Be like Jamie, she wanted to earn my business, kind of flirting around it, but not asking me directly. Does that make sense? Here's what she could assume. Oh, well, Ronnie Martin handles all of Coach Burt's business, so I can never get any of it. What if one day I get pissed off at Ronnie Martin? What if one day he don't deliver on a loan for me? What if one day he slows the deal down for me? But you never asked me because you assumed you could never get my business. Does that make sense? That's a consideration. Oh, I could never sell to them because they're a lot more successful than me, or they're older than me, or they're more confident than me. They probably use somebody else. Everybody see that? That's a consideration. So what I try to do with my coaching clients is I try to get them to eliminate a consideration, which means they have the guts to do what? Ask anybody for anything, anytime. All they can do is say no, right? Okay? All they can do is say no. But we don't know unless we ask. Okay? We had a kid a few weeks ago. I was in Memphis, and I was flying on my plane from Memphis to Kansas City, and I had 5 or 6 people, and one person bailed out at the last minute. A person that paid $800 to go with me, by the way, just to fly with me. They didn't come. As I'm leaving this event in Memphis, this 25-year-old kid is like, Coach Burt, I got a question for you. I said, sure. This is somebody I don't even know. He's like, can I get on a plane with you and go with you? And I'm like, man, you're a complete stranger. He's like, I ain't got any money, I ain't got any toothbrush, I ain't got anything. But if I could just go with you and learn from you for a day and just be around you for a day, man, I would give anything for it. He lives in Memphis. I said, man, I'm flying back to Nashville. It's okay. I'll get on a Greyhound bus and ride back to Memphis on a Greyhound if I have to. Just if I could go with you. What do you say to that?
Yes.
What do you think I said? Sure, get on the plane, dude. Get on the plane and go with me. Because what did I reward? Yeah. The guts to ask me. The kid had to have some guts, right? So he didn't have any consideration. That's what I was like, man, that's awesome. I mean, somebody's taught this kid this. I don't know where he learned it at, but it was so impressive that I reward effort. People reward effort. So people reward guts. Would you agree? Guts to ask, guts to try, guts to get in the arena, guts to ask questions. People will reward that in you. If you don't, you're reserved and you keep everything in, like you introvert things, then I don't think the world rewards a lot of that. Because for me to enlist it or enroll you in my project, I got to ask you, Jamie, I need your help. Now I know there's some other people over at Pinnacle we need to be coaching. Who are they? Right? Cole, I need your help. I know some other people out there your age that I can help. Who are they? Can you bring them to the table? Does that make sense? You got to have no hesitation about asking for this. Okay? So let's finish with this concept. I got belief. Where did my belief come from? My revelation, my conviction, my action. So now, I got a strong belief. Now, I wish I'd have heard this younger. if you don't have a belief that repels some people, it will not attract other people. Does that make sense? If your message and your belief is like vanilla or lukewarm or boring, it's not gonna get the attention of people. Does that make sense? I mean, I was listening to a song this morning. So it's a Christian song that is like the prettiest, most beautiful song in the world. 47,000 people didn't like it on YouTube. I'm sitting there looking at it thinking, how could you not like this song? It's sweet, it's beautiful, it's relaxing. 47,000 people hit the thumb down. Like, what if you woke up tomorrow and you posted something on Facebook and 47,000 people said that sucks? How would you feel about yourself? Because I got to get you to the point. If I'm coaching you, I got to get you to the point where you go, I don't even care. How many of y'all study Maslow's hierarchy of needs at some point? Yeah. You study Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization. A self-actualized person is a person operating at the highest frequency of their abilities and talents. In my lifetime, I have only met 1 or 2 people I would consider self-actualized. And I probably come across hundreds of thousands of people. 1 or 2 dudes, I was like, that dude is clicking on every cylinder, man. You know one of the traits of a self-actualized person? They are totally independent of the good opinion of other people. Self-actualized people could care less if you like them or not, because they ain't trying to get your approval. Does that make sense? They don't care about your approval. So they's like, 47,000 people don't like it? It's okay. Let's go do another video. That's how self-actualized people think. Now, what's going to happen is, now I didn't tell you how many people liked the video, because there was like 1.2 million people that liked it. Anybody see that? Now, I joke all the time because I have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and people see me speak all over the country, so I constantly get requests to be friends with people that I don't know because they see me speak. But every day I wake up, I got $49.99 because somebody dropped off. And it's noticeable when you have 5,000 because it goes down to $49.99. Does that make sense? And at first I was like, man, who wouldn't like me? Like, who would drop off my Facebook page, right? Kind of pissed me off a little bit. And then I look over here, and I got like 500 people who want to be my friend that can't get in. And people coming up to me today in where I was at in Chattanooga, it's like, man, I want to be your friend, but I can't get in there. Can you drop one of them zeros so I can get in? Because here's my point. What do we focus on? The one that didn't like us. We don't focus on the 300 who trying to get in. We focus on the one person that said something bad about us. That's how your brains are wired, by the way. We focus 3 times on more negative than positive. So you can have an incredible day today, totally crush it, one thing doesn't go right, you go home and beat yourself up all night about it. Self-actualized people, that's just part of it, man. That's just part of it, okay? All right, let's close with this. I want to finish with this follow-up concept on conviction, because this is where people fall off the wagon. How many of you have partnerships in your life right now, or dreams or ambitions or anything that you just didn't follow up on? All of us, right? Like, people want to, like, here's something. People call me all the time and say, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee, or take you to lunch, or spend a few minutes with you, or whatever. Then I never hear from them again. Right? Like, you should see how people follow up. It's pitiful. Most stats tell us it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert somebody from a prospect to a client, to manifest something. Right? Well, let me ask you, let me say it to you as strong as I can say it to you. If you truly have conviction and you truly believe in your product or service, why would you only go 1 or 2 times and quit? Like, how do you justify this? And I'm thinking of some things I'm guilty of this of. Let's go back to you guys if y'all want to be real estate investors. What if I said I can put you in touch with a person that does $1 billion of investments? That makes sense? They got $1 billion under management that they're investing. I can put you in touch with them. I can introduce you to them, but it's up to you to get on their schedule. What if you just went 1 time?
Then you're not going to learn very much.
How much conviction do you have? I'm talking about you try one time to get on their schedule. What are they going to say when you try to get on their schedule? They're going to be like, shoo, shoo. You know why? There's probably 1,000 people try to get on their schedule. So what are you willing to do to get on their schedule? Would be my question. Are you willing to show up? Are you willing to be there when they walk in? Are you willing to follow up with them? Or how much conviction do you have to get their attention?
Is it considered stalking?
I think it's considered stalking when it gets uncomfortable. Listen, I've had stalkers. And listen, when you do what I do for a living, I mean, I attract some crazy people, man. I've had people show up at my house. I've had people show up in cities. I've had people drive 12 hours and be at the hotel when I was coming into a city. I'm talking creepy stuff. You understand what I'm saying? And part of me is like, man, that's cool. Part of me is like, you're a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? Like I drove 12 hours just to make sure that's the problem with Instagram. Here's what I say. I'm going to be at the Blue Hotel in Chicago tonight. You know what I'm saying? And somebody's there waiting on me when I get there. My point to you is stalking is when it gets uncomfortable for the other person. Yeah. But being persistent, like if that person would have reached out to me and said, would it be okay if I got 5 minutes of your time? I'm going to be at the hotel when you get there. I want to talk to you about this. You understand what I'm saying? Then I would say, that's cool, man. I'd be happy to meet with you for 5 minutes when I get into town. Right? Versus the other way. So my point is, yeah. And what do? It's real awkward. I'm like, should I talk to you? Should I not talk to you? I mean, it's just in today's world, man, you don't know. You just don't know. So when you think about this concept of conviction to follow up, I just see people fall off the wagon after a few touches. And if you're serious and convicted about your deal, then you know what you got to do? You got to go the distance, which means 7 to 15 touches. And you got to have enough guts to go back and forth with the person when they just give you a soft excuse. Timing's not right, don't have the money, got to talk to my wife, got to talk to my this, got to think about it, got to sleep on it. They're going to give you all kinds of excuses. If you guys got to hear me sell something, I sell with certainty. Like, look, I can't help you until you commit, but once you commit, I'm not going to let you fail. You want to do this, don't you? Like, it seems like you want to do this. Like, what's stopping you? That's how I talk to people, right? Not in a pushy or aggressive way, but like, I'm the dude to help you. I'm here to help you. But I can't help you until you move, right? I don't say it from a weak position. I say it from a very strong position because I want them to know I can get you to the next level. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't sell that way, though. They supplicate. What does supplicate mean? Supplicate means you put yourself in an inferior position to the person you're selling to because they have the money.
Open the door to say no.
So let me give you a first supplication. Adam, I'm calling on Adam to sell him something. And the first thing I ask is this a good time to talk, Adam? Am I supplicating? Yes or no? I wouldn't even ask Adam if it's a good time to talk because my time's important. Adam, the purpose of this phone call is this, okay? And here's what we're trying to do, and we can't do it, right? Well, it's not a really good time to talk, Coach. I understand. I just need 2 minutes. Right? I just keep going. It's like I don't even listen to it. So, because that ain't an objection. That's just right. I mean, I told a woman once, I called a woman, and she said, well, it's really not a good time to talk. And I said right back to her, it wasn't a good time for me to call you either. But I took time out of my schedule to call you. You know what that did? Got her attention. She's like, oh, okay. I'm like, you know why I called you? She's like, why? I said, because you gave me your number and told me to call you. So I took time out today to call you. So can we talk about this for a few minutes? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, we can talk about it. See what I'm saying? Now, I say like that because it's like shocks people, but I laughed, joked with her. I wasn't like being rude. I'm just playing around with her, right? Because her time is no more important than what? My time. My time is just as important as hers. So I don't supplicate to people. I don't put myself in an inferior position to another person. I'm an expert and you're an expert. Let's both be experts together, right? So where does that come from, guys? It comes from my conviction. Everybody see that? All right, so what's the takeaways from tonight's session? What about you two? What did you take away from tonight? What did you learn?
A few things.
Okay. Would you like to share those? Notice how I asked specific. Notice how I asked specific. Now, here's another deal. Cole, listen to this. People with conviction, you know what they do? They ask very direct questions. Everybody with me? See? So I ask direct questions to people. I don't let them out of things. Okay? Because I got conviction about me. And if I don't think I got your attention, I say this. What I'm about to tell you is very important, and I feel like I don't have your undivided attention. So can I get your attention for a second so I can tell you this? And they're like, oh, yeah, you got it. Because I can't tell you, I can't sell you anything, even an idea, if I don't have your attention. So I constantly have to remind you, hey, this is important. I need you to pay attention to this. What I'm about to tell you is real critical. Don't miss this. Okay? What was your big takeaway?
Take the necessary action required to produce.
Okay? Take the necessary. Is that going to be uncomfortable?
Sometimes.
Is it going to be inconvenient? Always inconvenient. Always inconvenient. Okay? So take the necessary action. Now, here's the deal. You can't outsource this. One of my favorite sayings is never allow another person to stand between you and your destiny. I never place my destiny in another person's hands. Does that make sense? And then blame them when I don't get it. Let me give you an example. I have a sales team. We have a number we're supposed to hit every month. I personally ensure we hit that number. That means when I look at that number and we're not hitting it, then I get in there and do whatever I have to hit that number, because my family's got to eat and my kids got to go to Middle Tennessee Christian School. You understand what I'm saying? So why would I allow somebody else to not hit the goal and then get mad at them? Right? Because one of my rules is I never let another person stand between me and my destiny. So I'm not placing my future in another person's hands. Are they going to help me? Yes. But I'm not solely relying on them. I can't tell you how many people I coach that they blame all their people for not hitting the goals. And I'm like, what'd you do to help hit the goal? Did you pick up the phone and call anybody? Did you make any sales calls? Did you get involved? You try to outsource your destiny to somebody else, and that's your fault, not theirs. That make sense? Mm-hmm. What'd you take away from tonight?
You said you're not going to connect to someone's mind if you don't connect to their heart.
That's right.
Be vulnerable.
That's right. That's going to be hard for some of you guys. Being vulnerable sucks, man. You think I want to tell you a story about some girl breaking my heart and me taking an engagement ring back? No, because every time I do, I relive the story. But the story is what connects with your heart. So I got to tell it. And I got a good deal out of this anyway. I ended up on a good end of the stick, okay? So it's all good, right? What about you guys?
I took away just from the diagram we did on the board, just
Yeah.
that you can even take lessons from personal downfalls
That's right.
and apply them to the business world and figure out how those make you stronger as a person.
That's right. And if you ever want to connect to other people, you got to tell that part. You can't just say, "Oh, I've been up here and I've always been up here." And you know, you can get up here too. You got to say, "Man, I was here and then I went down here, and it sucked, and I learned something down there." Matter of fact, I'm where I am today because that. Okay, that's very important. No matter what you're selling. No matter what you're selling. Okay. Now, every month I do a session for Monster Young Professionals. That's what this is. It's called Monster Young Professional, and I'm doing this because I feel a burden and a good way to do it. I would like to see this room full of 50 young professionals, because what you're going to learn with me, you're never going to learn in school or wherever. And these are things you need to be successful. If I would have had this kind of coaching when I was 22, 23, 24, 20, even 27, there's no telling where I'd be today. Everybody with me? I mean, I'm no telling where I'd be. So this is a course. This is a course. The course is I don't do this for free. I love you, but you know, this is a business. So the course is $299 per month. But we're doing something special in November. We're doing 2 for 1. Is that right? So what that means is you take the price, and if you divide it by 2 people, then you can get 2 people for the price of 1. Does that make sense? So you can bring 2 people in, and y'all split the cost, if that makes sense, right? For the young professional. That's a good deal. BOGO. That's right. Buy one, get one free. Now, here's the deal. I don't want money to stand in the way of you getting involved in this course, because you also get access to my Monster Producer course, which is my big coaching program where I'm coaching 700 people. and they're all movers and shakers. And when I teach that course here, this place is packed. So you actually get this plus the big coaching program, plus you're in my private Facebook group, plus you get a Monday accountability session, plus you get Tuesday, Thursday rhythm. You get a lot of stuff, okay, to be in the coaching program. And here's what I would tell you. You need to be playing up. You need to be around other successful people that are more successful than you. So I'd like, so you come to class in Cool Springs this month, right? Tell them what you experienced over there.
Well, a lot of it was kind of what we went over tonight. There's a lot of people in that room that are a lot older than we are, that are a lot more successful than we are too. So
I mean, it's not uncommon for you to be sitting right beside a person making $3 million a year and having conversation. Having what? And be at a table with that and have discussion with those people and learn from those people. Not, you know, you're learning from me, but you're also learning from the people I'm coaching, which are very successful people in every industry, everything, real estate, mortgage, insurance, financial services, small business owners. I mean, it's just a collection of the best people in any market, in any community. And that's the kind of people, some of y'all got friends you need to get rid of. I do believe you become the sum average of the 5 people you hang around most. If you're hanging around broke people, you're going to be broke. Because the thinking. I know I had to get rid of some of my friends. Let me tell you something. There was a time in my life, you don't even want to know some of the people I was hanging out with. And I looked at I was at my house one day and looked at the caliber of people at my house, and I'm like, what in the hell? Like, where did these people come from? And we were all just strugglers, getting together and just commiserating about how much life sucked. And you know what's interesting? I would call my successful friends. I'd say, hey, come over to the house, man. We're doing a pool party. My successful friends would say, who's over there? I'd be like, well, so-and-so and so-and-so. Here's what they'd say. I ain't coming. The successful people didn't want to hang out with the unsuccessful. Isn't that interesting? And then if all my successful buddies were over there, my unsuccessful friends would call. And I'd be like, hey, come over here, man. We're having a party. They'd be like, who's over there? I'd say, well, so-and-so. You know what they'd say? I ain't coming. It's so odd. They just segregated each other. Like they didn't want to mix. You follow what I'm saying? And so there's been times in my life, man, I looked up and I'm like, why am I hanging around this dude? He's a bad influence on me. Every time I'm with him, I make bad decisions. What am I doing? Now I need to hang around good people. If I want to be a better husband, I need to hang around good husbands. Not hang around people who's going to take me out all night and get me in trouble. I need to be around better people. Well, part of coaching is getting around good people who are serious about their business. They ain't playing around, okay? And what's going to happen is you're going to get better. So if you're here tonight and you're thinking about that and you're looking at enrolling in the program, I'm not going to hard sell you. I don't make a lot of money, obviously, off this. So there's a lot of things I could do besides just doing this for young professionals. Does that make sense? But I'm doing it because I feel a strong passion to help young people. So if you're here, Lakin can help you. And if you want to ask me any questions, I haven't been home in 3 or 4 days, so I need to go home and see my baby girl because I got to go to Portland, Oregon tomorrow, and that's a long way away, right? And I'm going to be on planes most of the day. So thank you for coming tonight. I hope this is valuable. Every month we're going to meet. I'm going to give a special session for you. And you're right, I have taught this month, but I didn't teach it. There's a lot I gave you tonight that I didn't give in the class this month, right? There's always going to be more I give you in these private sessions that I can't do when I'm with 300 or 400 people, okay? I just ain't got time to unpack some of this stuff, okay? So good session tonight, guys. Thank you very much. If you're interested, or if you just got questions, you need to see it, talk to Lakin. She can help you, okay? Thanks a lot.